Good morning, students. So, today we start the next chapter of electromagnetic theory. We are continuing our module 3. So, in the previous class or in the previous lecture, we studied about your equation, wave equation, and the solution. In this particular chapter, we look at polarization of plane waves. Okay, so what is a plane wave? So a plane wave is a simply we are replacing a voltage or current signal. Okay, since what a voltage or current signal that looks like a wave. Okay, if you consider the nature, the voltage or current signal is what is a sinusoidal signal. So it is basically like a wave. So that is why we refer the analysis to a plane wave. Okay, so what is polarization? Now let us consider a plane wave. Now suppose that the wave is in a region where both electric and magnetic field is present. Then how the electric field is directed for that signal, that is the finding out the direction of electric field for that signal is called polarization of the signal or polarization of the wave. Clear? So let us look at the definition. Polarization is a property of a wave that specifies its geometrical orientation. So as I told you, that means this geometrical orientation means that how it is oriented. What is oriented? The electric field. Okay. So finding out the direction of electric field of a plane wave is called the polarization. Let us look at the next point. An electromagnetic wave consists of a coupled oscillating electric field and magnetic field which are perpendicular to each other. As we know, electromagnetic field means it consists of an electric field as well as a magnetic field. Now because we are considering the wave, so what will happen? The wave propagates along a particular direction. Hence, the electric and magnetic fields also propagate along a direction. That is why we are saying that oscillating field. Oscillating means it is going along a direction. Okay. And why coupled? Because electromagnetic field means it consists of a electric field as well as magnetic field. So coupled electric and magnetic field. And always remember, in electromagnetic concept, we consider that the electric and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. Clear? Okay, so now let us look at the definite polarization. So as I told you, polarization of electromagnetic wave refers to direction of electric field. So let us look at the various types of polarization. So first one is your linear polarization, circular polarization, elliptical polarization. Okay, so these are the basic three type of polarizations. So let us look at the first one. So first one is linear polarization. So let us look at the definition. In this case, the electric and magnetic fields oscillate in a single direction. Okay, now what you have to understand here is, here I am considering two waves. Okay, for general case you can consider more waves also. So suppose I have two waves. The two waves are propagating in a region where both electric and magnetic fields are present. So if two waves are there, then what will happen? They will superimpose, they will mix with each other. So there will be a resultant wave. So the electric field of the resultant wave, if it is such that it moves or oscillates in a line or in a single direction, then this polarization is called linear polarization. Clear? So if polarization is along a line, then it is called linear polarization. So this let us understand with the help of a figure. So let us look at this figure. Now look here. See, here I have shown a sinusoidal field. Look at the arrow marks. Okay, so these arrow marks are the vectors. So if you look carefully, I have done x-axis, I have done a sinusoidal resultant field, and you look at the vectors. So if you look at the vectors, you see the vectors are directed upwards and downwards parallel to the x-axis. Clear? Look again, the vectors are directed upwards and downwards parallel to the x-axis. So that means the resultant vector is formed in such a way that it is oscillating either in positive x-axis or in negative x-axis. That is, it is oscillating along a line. The arrow mark is called tip of the vector. Tip means, you understand, tip, the point, okay, indicating point. So here we see that the tip of the vector is either upwards or downwards. That means it is parallel to x-axis. That means it is going along a straight line. So that is why the polarization in such a case is called linear polarization. So that is what here written. So here the tip of the vector moves forth and back. Forth means upward and downwards. You can see if you look carefully. Along the line, which line? That is the x-axis. So this type of polarization is called linear polarization. Clear? And because the polarization or the vector is moving along x-axis, it is called to be polarized in the x direction. Okay. So now let us look at the second case of polarization, that is the circular polarization. So now I think you have made up some idea that if polarization is along a straight line, then it is called linear polarization. Similarly, if the polarization is such that a circle is made or the direction is along a circle, then the polarization is called circular polarization. So if the fields rotate in such a way that they make a circle, then the wave is said to be circularly polarized. Clear? Now always remember, for circular polarization there needs to be a condition particularly that is to be satisfied. So what is that condition? The two fields that must be having same amplitude and their phase difference must be 90 degree. Okay, there must be 90 degree between them, between the two vector fields. So in this case the resultant will be circularly polarized. So let us consider two fields. So first one I am considering f1 f0 equal to cos omega t plus phi x cap. Second field f2 f0 sin omega t plus phi ay cap. So now you look carefully, amplitude should be same. So f1 amplitude f0, f2 amplitude f0. So same amplitude I am taking. One is cosine, the another is sine. And if you look carefully, f1 is x cap, f2 is y cap. That means x and y. What is the angle between x and y? 90 degree. So here the two vectors are displaced at 90 degree from each other. So if the resultant of these two vectors is formed, that is the resultant vector f1 plus f2, then the resultant vector will be such that the tip of the electric field vector will make a circle. Clear? So this is called a circular polarization. Now you see the polarization I have represented in the form of a circle. So the direction of electric field is such that the arrow mark shows the direction. It will be such that it will be making a circle along the xy plane. So that is why this polarization is called circular polarization. Similarly, if you look for the third kind, then the third kind is elliptical polarization. Now I think you have got this. So what will happen? Now if the two waves are such that when the resultant wave will be formed, the tip of the resultant wave will move in such a way that an ellipse will be formed, then this polarization is called elliptical polarization. So similar to circular polarization, elliptical polarization requires also some cases. However, elliptical polarization is what na a general case. That means for elliptical polarization, the two fields they must be time varying, their magnitude must be different, and any phase difference can be there. Okay, so if you recall, in circular what is required? Phase angle must be 90 degree apart, magnitude must be same, but in elliptical polarization what is required? There may be any phase angle, amplitude must be different. Then in such a case, if you add the two vectors, then the resultant vector will be formed in such a way that the tip of the vector, the electric field direction, will make a ellipse as shown in this figure. In the figure you see here, a ellipse is made by the tip of the field vector. So this is called elliptical polarization. Okay. So now I think you are clear about three polarizations. Okay, linear, circular, elliptical. So polarization means geometrical orientation. Orientation of what? Na orientation of electric field. Okay, so if the tip of the electric field vector is such that it is a straight line, it is linear polarization. If it is such that it is a circle, it is circular polarization. If it is such that it is an ellipse, it is elliptical polarization. So I think you are clear. Okay. So now next come to the next topic. So next topic is our fields on the surface of a perfect conductor. Okay, what is the meaning? So we have in electrical engineering three type of materials: conductor, okay, insulator, and what? Semiconductor. Okay, so let us consider what happens to a plane wave if the plane wave is placed along a conductor, if the plane wave is placed in a semiconductor, if the plane wave is placed in an insulator. So the insulator is called a dielectric. Okay, a dielectric. So let us look at what will happen if the plane wave propagates along a perfect conductor. Okay, what happens to parameters of the wave? So to study this, we first define various parameters of a plane wave. So what are the parameters? First one is propagation constant. So the wave is moving is called propagation. So how the wave is moving, how the wave is propagating, to determine the characteristics, a constant is defined. The constant is called the propagation constant gamma. If you recall, in the wave equation I told you that later on we will be studying all these constants. What is alpha, beta, gamma? So in this chapter I will be discussing all these. So you understand what is propagation constant? So now propagation constant is a complex number. So if you recall, a complex number is in the form of what? A plus jb. So similarly, the propagation constant is in the form of alpha plus j beta, where alpha and beta both are wave constants. Okay. Okay. So alpha is actually called attenuation constant. Attenuation means stopping. If the wave is coming, if someone is stopping, then that is called attenuation. So alpha is called attenuation constant. What is the unit? Nepper per meter. Beta is called the phase constant. Okay, so both are wave constants. So alpha is called attenuation constant, beta is called phase constant. Clear? Okay. Next we go to the loss tangent. Okay, what is the loss tangent? Now, if you recall, I told you that in electromagnetic theory there are two type of current. What are the two type of current? One is conduction current, one is displacement current. So there are two type of densities: conduction current density, displacement current density. The ratio of conduction current density to displacement current density is called loss tangent of the medium. Okay, so what is the formula? The formula is sigma by omega e, where sigma is what? Conductivity. Omega you know what? Angular velocity. E is or epsilon is what? Permittivity of the medium. So the ratio of conduction current density to displacement current density is called the loss tangent. Then next move to the next point, phase velocity. Okay, so what is phase velocity? Now a wave, when it is moving, definitely it is moving with some speed. So the speed along which a wave is traveling along a direction, that speed or velocity is called the phase velocity. And what is the formula? Now Vp, V for velocity, P for phase, is equal to omega by beta. That means angular velocity by wave or phase constant gives you the phase velocity. Clear? What is beta? Beta is phase constant. So if you divide angular velocity with phase constant, then you get phase velocity. Next, wavelength. Definitely you know the wavelength. What is the formula? 2 pi by beta. So lambda is the symbol. Lambda is equal to 2 pi by beta. Next parameter we define the intrinsic impedance. Okay, what is impedance? Impedance you all know. Impedance is equal to what? Resistance, or simply put V by I. So whenever you are considering a wave, whenever the wave is traveling in a medium, definitely the medium offers some resistance to the wave. So this resistance of the medium is called intrinsic. Intrinsic means internal resistance. Okay, extrinsic, intrinsic. Intrinsic means internal, extrinsic means outside. So whenever the wave is going into a medium, the internal resistance of the medium is called intrinsic impedance, and it is denoted as eta or eta bar in some books. Eta you can also denote. So what is the formula? Eta is equal to root over of j omega mu by sigma plus j omega epsilon. Again I am telling, eta is equal to root over of j omega mu by sigma plus j omega epsilon. What is omega? Angular speed or velocity. What is mu? Permittivity, permeability. What is sigma? Conductivity. What is omega? Angular velocity. What is E? Permittivity, or epsilon? Permittivity. Clear? So these are the various constants for a wave. Okay, what are the various constants? Propagation constant, wave constant. Wave constant is two types: attenuation constant, phase constant. Then loss tangent. Then what? Phase velocity. Then what? Wavelength. Then what? Intrinsic impedance. Clear? So what we are going to do in the next chapter is that we are going to consider a plane wave. The plane wave we will consider in a perfect conductor, and what will happen to all these parameters that we will determine. What will happen to propagation constant? What will happen to alpha? What will happen to beta? What will happen to loss tangent? What will happen to phase velocity? What will happen to wavelength? What will happen to impedance? So what will happen to conductivity? So all these things we are going to determine in the subsequent chapter. Okay, so that means we will take a uniform plane wave. We will put the plane wave in a conductor where both electric and magnetic field will be present. The wave contains what? Electric field as well as magnetic field, because we are considering a electromagnetic wave. So when this electromagnetic wave will pass through a perfect conductor, then what will happen to all these parameters? That the parameters are propagation constant, loss tangent, phase velocity, wavelength, intrinsic impedance. So all these parameters we determine in the next chapter. Okay, so thank you all.